If you have ever said to yourself, well, I don't think I'm an alcoholic. Maybe you Googled it at 3 a.m., but you think to yourself, I don't think I'm an alcoholic, but something just didn't right here. Something is not lining up for me. Let's talk about this gray area a little bit. I've mentioned that drinking is really on a spectrum. The use of it, the dependence on it is really on a spectrum. And for the longest time, I didn't know that. I thought it was black or white, all or nothing. You either were an alcoholic or you weren't. You either had zero problem with alcohol, I mean, rosé all day, or whoops for you, didn't work out. You're at the rock bottom. And I thought it was just that all or nothing. And what I've come to find is that there is a huge gray area where anyone who drinks is actually on the drinking spectrum. Okay, so if you drink once a year at a wedding, and you could take it or leave it, but you're drinking there, you're a drinker. Maybe you just don't really care. It's of low value to you, but you're still on the drinking spectrum. And what I found working and being with women all through COVID, before COVID, I noticed that people that really could take it or leave it, that were kind of on the low end of the drinking spectrum as far as any kind of dependence or high value to alcohol, increased how much they were using alcohol over time. So that's the thing to know. If you're on the drinking spectrum, you may be doing okay today, right here, right now, but that can change. Just like you can change your relationship with alcohol for the better at any time for any reason. You've also got to know that when you're drinking on a regular basis, or even not, even maybe just on the weekends or special occasions, that relationship can also change at any time for any reason. So it's really going to be up to you to kind of do an internal scan and really recognize and notice some of the signs for you if drinking is serving you or not. And that's important because comparison, as we well know, and I say it in my book, Look Alive Sis, I have a whole chapter on this, how comparison is a trap. We've talked about how alcohol is a trap, but I'm going to say comparison is the real trap. Because when I was stuck in the gray area drinking zone, well, comparison worked out great for me because there was always somebody drinking more. There's always somebody pounding it down harder, finishing another bottle, whatever. And so if I could just compared myself to others, I thought, well, I'm not as bad as so and so. And that was the wrong way to go because that what that does is it actually keeps us trapped because then we're looking at other people instead of internally inside of ourselves. And that's where the real change begins. Internally, if I was not comparing myself to others, but internally speaking, it would absolutely be me negotiating with myself. Anyone out there know what I mean when I say negotiation? Mm-hmm. Yeah, negotiation, where I was making all kinds of deals and justifications, whereas it was 5 o'clock somewhere. And I mean, like on TV, on the movies, they're always drinking in the kitchen, when in Rome, when in a Mexican food restaurant, have a margarita. Like, I mean, the association for drinking for me was so strong. So internally, a gray area drinker is going to do a lot of negotiating, a lot of thinking about it. Y'all, I mean, I spent so much of my bandwidth, mental and emotional, spiritual, all of it, focused on, am I going to drink tonight? Am I not going to drink tonight? Am I going to have one? Am I going to have two? But no more than three. Three's the magic number. You can't get in trouble with 3 drinks, can you? Well, you can. I'm here to vouch. You can. Because that was the thing about this gray area drinking, or really alcohol in general, is it was so unpredictable. Sometimes I could have more, sometimes I could have less, and it would just hit me wrong. It would just totally hit me different. So I thought, oh, if I could just like make a formula where if I do this every time, I'll get these results, then I can control it. Well, alcohol is an addictive substance that creates a thirst for itself. It doesn't want to be controlled. It wants to control you. That's why these games we play with ourselves don't really work. Because if you think about it, you're giving it so much fuel, so much thinking about it. So by the time the stress is rising and the anxiety is there, and you've dealt with something called decision fatigue, the struggle is so real. You end up just drinking just to quiet all that noise, like a seesaw where you're like up, down, like I want to drink less, I want to drink more. It's that cognitive dissonance that we hear so much about. And that is what zaps your energy because it is so much harder to walk around with a divided mind than a renewed mind. A renewed mind is renewing your thoughts, renewing your mind with what is true, being focused. Having singular focus is so much more energizing for you than having a divided mind. But that gray area drinking is such a divided mind. So again, this is internal. If you're looking at someone on the outside, you could be like, oh, they have it all together. She wouldn't understand my struggle. We would. We do. Because the struggle is inside and it's invisible. And by the time the struggle becomes visible, it has really gotten deep inside invisible. If you think about it, I mean, by the time you're seeing external signs, you are dropping balls, you are missing work, people are noticing, people are saying something to you about it. The inside has now leaked out to the outside. And for many, that's a blessing. Y'all, that was me. Half the time I was drinking, I was happy. I was just confused on why I was drinking so much. I was happy. And other times I was drinking because I was sad. I was drinking for every emotion under the sun. I was drinking for every reason, good, bad, ugly, pretty, all of it. There was always a drink nearby. Nobody's going to know your internal world like you do. And so that's why comparison is a trap. And that's why you don't need a rock bottom to be able to change your relationship with drinking. Again, you can change it at any time and for any reason. And I encourage you to look internal instead of external, because cognitive dissonance creates stress and anxiety. And it's that very stress and anxiety that can cause you to want to hit the eject button. Y'all know what I mean? The eject button, where it's like, how do I get out of here? How do I alter my reality so that it is not what I am seeing and experiencing right now? And that eject button is all too easy to press when you're tired. Well, when you're hungry, when you're angry, when you're anxious, when you're lonely, when you're tired. I just did the little HALT method there, which is a good one. It's a good acronym to have on the back of your mind because it helps you look internal instead of just external. So here's the important point I want to make on this one. If you have to constantly justify your drinking, either to yourself or other people, something is definitely off. Sometimes with drinking, it's like, oh, okay, that's if I'm justifying my drinking, like I don't really want to drink tonight, but I need to connect with my husband, or I don't really think I need to have another one, but I think I need to fit in, even as a grown up, as a middle-aged grown up. It's amazing how peer pressure is still out there. What's up with that? What's up with peer pressure in your 50s? Don't do it, ladies. Don't give in. But a lot of times we end up succumbing to kind of the girls' night out vibe. And before we know it, we're just vibing. We're imbibing. And we lost our power to choose because we just handed it over to what other people are doing around us. And then one last point, and then I can't wait to engage with those of you who are here live or in the comments below. You can change. I love this. You can change before a crash. And I mean a literal crash. That does happen out there. But I'm talking about a relational crash, an internal crash where it feels like your world is collapsing on the inside. Towards the end of my drinking career, and I will say it was a career. It was short, but it was quite a career because here's the deal, y'all. I showed up to the drinking party kind of late. I know some of my cohorts and comrades here, I would say like probably most people, maybe in your younger days, maybe high school at the earliest, maybe college, you really, really tore it up there. Maybe your 20s were your real experimental years. No, not the case for Jen over here. Not the case for me. Nope. I waited till I was a married mom to get started. Yeah. That did not work out very well for me because I was already needing to be a responsible adult. That was a good example. And so for me, the shame and the frustration and the confusion came with drinking right out of the gate. I never had that wild party girl hat on. In college, I was actually the non-drinker that was holding someone's hair back over the toilet at the frat house. That was me. I was the one holding the hair. By the time I'm in my 30s, I'm the one that has now put myself in a position where I'm paying a babysitter and I'm feeling tipsy on a date night with my husband. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how in the world did I get here? I didn't even know. I didn't even understand the magnitude of what alcohol could do to someone's brain and to someone's heart when they began to lean on it as the end all be all solution, when really it wasn't the problem. It was a solution for me, but it was a solution that was not working. It was not working. So I started catching on to the mommy wine juice culture in my young 30s. By the time I was in my mid 40s, I mean, I'm 40, literally 45 years old, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is not going in the direction I want it to go at all. My oldest was just graduating high school. She was getting to reinvent herself, and I thought, this is my chance. If I want to show up at 50 different than I did 40, I better turn this thing around. Where do you even start? Where do you even begin? Because I'd started collapsing on the inside. My resilience felt low. My identity was all over the place. I kind of felt lost. And so there I was in my mid 40s, and I thought, you know what? I don't really know. I was overthinking, overperforming, but not really doing anything, if that makes sense. I don't know what I was doing, but I just felt lost. I was playing small in my own life. And so it was at that point I thought, you know what? I can't figure all this out in a weekend. This is not going to be like a juice cleanse situation. I'm going to need to really pop the hood here. And I know for sure my lead domino, if I could change one thing that I think might could change other things, if I could change my relationship with drinking, maybe it would change other things too. Maybe I would feel more confident. Maybe I would be more resilient. Maybe I would sleep better. My gosh, maybe I could lose the 15 pounds that I'd packed on. All the things. I thought, well, I can't tackle all of that, but maybe I can stop my almost nightly wine habit. I say almost nightly because I would have a bad enough hangover sometimes. I'd skip a few days, or I would try to be good and just drink on the weekends. Meanwhile, I was still in the detox to retox loop. I was never out of it, ever really out of it. I think waiting for pain to escalate, waiting for an outward collapse is unnecessary because I already had enough going on inside that was a signal to me that something needed to change. So it doesn't, if you can hear me say anything on this one, it doesn't have to get worse before it can get better. And that is good news, y'all, because no matter where you are on the drinking highway, you can exit off no matter where you are. If you feel like, oh, Jen, you don't know, I've been drinking for 4 decades. I mean, neat for you that you got started later and quit kind of on the early side. I've been drinking for longer than you've been alive, Jen. Okay, some of you may have. I don't know. Do we have any 70-year-olds in the house? You'd have to be. But it is true that it is never too early. And really, as long as you've got breath in your lungs, it's never too late either. At the beginning of every month, I offer a 21-day reset challenge. And in that 21 days, listen, we can't break or change your whole lifestyle. We're not even trying to. What we're trying to do in the 21-day reset challenge is literally change the way you look at alcohol, to get off of autopilot and bring awareness, even just awareness of like, oh my gosh, I woke up this morning and I said, I am not drinking tonight. For sure. And like you had like strong resolve, like you went to your workout class, you had your green juice or your salad at lunch, everything's on par, like you got this. 3 o'clock rolls around. Now all of a sudden the negotiations begin. I did work out. It's Friday, TGIF, let's go. And before you know it, it is 5 o'clock somewhere and you're right back where you started. We want to break that cycle. We can deconstruct that. We can break that down. And that's a lot of what we're doing in the 21-day reset challenge, is breaking down where it goes off of alignment for you with what your goals are. If you've done a 21-day reset challenge, you don't need to do it again. Even if you tried moderating or you're struggling, go forward into this AFL course where we then drill down and we start working on, well, okay, Now I'm aware that I've got an issue with drinking. Now what do I do? Now that I've got awareness and I'm off of autopilot, and we want to keep it real, which is exactly what we're doing here in our tribe. So much of what we're doing is intentional living. We're not trying to change the outside before we change the inside. We're trying to start from the inside and let that move itself out. And people will notice that you've got the sober glow. So with all of that, y'all have a great day. And I'll see you around town. See you around Sober Sis Land. Y'all have a good day. Bye, everybody.